Hey guys, 737NGX here, and welcome back to another video. So today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to do a very simple tutorial on how to fly the PMDG 737NGX by PMDG obviously. This is requested by a friend of mine who really wants to get into flying, so I thought that I'd make a tutorial where we just do we're gonna do entire flight here. We're going to fly from Edinburgh to London Stansted with virtual Ryanair, and I'll go step through step and do the entire flight from cold and dark to cold and dark, because there's a lot of people who get into flight simming and they find 737 a little bit intimidating, so it's gonna be like a beginner's tutorial, I guess. So anyways, there might be some stuttering while I'm talking in here because I'm not really used to making these commentary type videos, but anyways, the plane is cold and dark, so I just imagine everybody knows how to put the plane into cold and dark. If you don't, then you just click PMDG setup, panel state load, and then click cold and dark. I've already done that, so we can start off with the flight. So what I did to get this menu up after cold and dark is to get the FMC up, hold the menu button for about like 5 seconds, and it should pop up by itself. First of all, we're going to put in the fuel. So I have a real flight plan here, so today's fuel is going to be 5568. And on payload, you just set whatever is required, or whatever the amount of passengers and cargo you have on board. I have the zero fuel weight of 58 blank, so 58 tons. Ground connections, you want to set the ground power. Pilot covers can be removed. Doors, make sure to open the doors that you want to be opened. And we're pretty much done in the FMC now. So what you want to do is to go to the overhead panel and find the battery, which is here. You set the engine, no, not the engine, the electricity switch, or which basically just displays what is using, like what power source the airplane is using. Set it to ground power. You close the emergency exit lights. Chime can come on if you want to. You can just play with that if you want to. Logo lights. Also, I tend to turn off the recirculation fans, which are over here, because they are very loud and can be a bit annoying. So once you've done all that, you just click this here, ground power on, and the plane is online. Now, this will be like a part series where this is going to be the part where I just do the pre-flight, and the next episode is going to be takeoff, cruise, climb, descend, and then the final episode. Actually, it might just be until cruise, and then the last part might be descend and landing, etc. So anyways, now that the plane is on, we go to the overhead panel and we turn these two knobs to the nav position. These are the IRS switches, which aligns the plane's GPSs with like the real world. And if we twist this thing here 3 times, it will give us how many minutes it is until the plane is aligned. So in 7 minutes, our displays will be coming online and will be usable. Anyways, once you've done that, you just want to go through the overhead panel real quick. Yaw damper usually remains off until pushback. Fuel pumps can remain off. Make sure that the switch here is set to ground power. Ground power is on, of course. Nothing here that you have to touch. You can set this to both, I guess. Up here, we have window heat. You can turn these on if you want to. I'm not sure if they actually do that before push or start, but I'm like, if you are doing a turnaround, these will already be on, so you don't have to worry about those. Probe heats remains off until engine has been started. Electronic hydraulic pumps remains off until the passenger starts boarding. If you want your coffee, you can just attend. Click the attend button. Chime can come on. And then just quickly look over here. Make sure that the bleeds are all on, and the packs are off for now. And then you can set the pressurization, which is here. I'm going to zoom in to make it a bit easier to see. So our cruise altitude for this flight is 33,000 feet. So you want to put the upper one here to 33,000, which is your cruise altitude, and we'll see the cabin pressure going up and down. And the landing altitude is 300 feet at London Stansted Airport. So that is all set. Now you want to go to the MCP here and just twist these buttons. Basically what they do is they change your barometric readings into the, well, non-American ones in HPA instead of hectopascal or inches, whatever. I think, well, this is hectopascal and this is inches, and it basically just measures the pressure in the air. So yeah, now you want to change this hectopascal, or your QNH as it's called, to whatever the QNH at your airport is, and I have active sky for P3D here to show that, and it is 1014. So you just click this once, this outer rim here. You can also click B on your keyboard and it will automatically set to the local QNH. And you can click TFC, TFC. It's just something I always do. They do it in the real plane too, not sure why, but they do it, so I just decided to do it as well. And of course, since it's our first flight of the day, we can do some tests. Click out this red button. That is the fire alarm, the engine fire tests. This just shows us if the engines are working. They are. And then we have the cargo test. Basically, this just lets us know that if something is burning in the cargo bay, then we will get a notification in the cockpit and we can extinguish the fire. So here's the squawk code. If you're flying on VATSIM, you want to set this to 2000. That's the standard squawk code. Unless you're talking to the ADC, they will obviously give you a different squawk code. And I usually set the radios to 122.8, which is Unicom. Obviously, once again, if you're flying a VATSIM, you want to set it to whatever airport you're at, if they have controllers on. If they don't have controllers on, you just put it to Unicom. Okay, and you can check some other things here, like the lights. Nothing too important to do if you're only in the flight sim, but I mean, if you want to be very realistic, you can do that. Oh shit, forgot to start the A cars here. So, okay, like that. So, I guess we can launch GSX. Wait, hold on. Let me get GSX up here because it's very immersive. Like that. And we will start this flight because it's the first flight of the day. We're just going to start with the catering service. And we have Gate Aviation. And in not too long there will be some catering trucks coming to this plane and they will be filling the plane with food. But anyways, we're pretty much set up for now. So what we want to do next is to go into the FMC again. Click FMC, pause in it, and click next page. Now, since we turned on the IRS switches, which are these behind here, the GPS position will be aligned already. Usually the left one is more accurate than the right one for some reason, as you can also tell here. It says 0.7 and left one is 0.6. You can also see our last position was 0.6, which just indicates that that is probably the one most correct here. So you put that in there. You can also just click last position and then put it in there. Next up we have route. So let me find the route here. Okay, so we are currently at Echo Golf Pop Hotel, Edinburgh International Airport, and we're going to Echo Golf Sierra Sierra, which is London Stansted Airport. And today we're going to be departing from runway 06 with a Gossam 1 Delta departure. And after Gossam we have P600. Now this is an airway. I'm not going to go into depth what this is or does. And next here we have Fennec. Now if you wonder how you can get this route, basically if you're flying for a virtual airline, for example, the airline will usually supply you with these. But if you don't have them, then there's optional ways to find your route, like SimBrief, or there's probably other freeware places you can get the get routes, etc. You also have PFPX, which is a payware option, which is really good. I highly recommend it if you aren't using it. I'm lucky enough to have some real flight plans I've gotten from some real pilots, so yeah, I'm gonna be using that for this flight. Also, our catering service cars are here, so I'm just gonna open the other FMC, go into doors, and open the doors on the right side of the plane, so you can see the doors are opening, and you will be seeing the catering personnel just going in and out of the plane, right there. Anyways, back into the cockpit. Back into the FMC here. After Fennec, we have UL 612. 612. And then we have Calda. Well, I guess I can shortly just give a brief explanation of what an airway is. Basically, it's just like a route that connects Fennec to Calda. So that in between Calda and Fennec and Calda, they will be putting more waypoints, basically. And it follows like an airway. It's kind of like a highway in the air, if you see what I mean. It's not quite the same, but you know, it can be compared, I guess. Anyways, next up is a direct to MCT. And this is a different kind of waypoint, because we're doing it direct. There can be multiple options, and we want to choose the one that is the closest to our waypoint, which is this one. These ones are like very far away. Muscat and Macton, which is nowhere close to Manchester. You can see Manchester here, so you can be pretty certain that it's going to be Manchester. And after that, we have an ASCII 3 Golf arrival. Now, let's check the winds at Stansted. The winds are 350 at 15, so we're going to be arriving at runway 04. So the way you do that is click departure arrival, click arrival, ILS 04, and we had an ASCII 3 Golf arrival. So ASCII 3 Golf, and let's have a look here. So it doesn't appear like we have a what do you call it? An transition on this flight, so we don't have to touch that. Anyways, now you want to go through your route, and you can see there's a route discontinuity here. In real life, they wouldn't remove this yet because the runways can change, the approach can change, so they wouldn't just put this in, but I'm just going to do it because we know the winds are not going to change. I'm flying offline for the tutorial purposes, so yeah, that's going to be fine. Okay, so the catering service is done. I'm just closing the door. Anyways, route is set. You can now click activate, execute, and go on to the next site, which is Perf Init. Now, I'm not going to be going too much into detail on what's going on in here. First off, though, I'm going to go into GSX and just request the boarding and open the cargo doors so that the luggage people can throw the luggage inside the plane. Anyways, we're at the Perf Init page here. What you want to do is zero fuel weight. Just click it twice, you will get it automatically. I'm not going to bother about the planned fuel. Reserves with Ryanair is 1.5. Cost index is always 6 with Ryanair, of course. It depends on your airline. Norwegian, for example, has usually 15. It's a bit different from airport to airport, but usually 15. Cruise altitude is flight level 330, so you just put that in. And transition altitude is 6,000 feet. Now that the passengers are boarding, you can also turn on the hydraulic electronic pumps if you want to. And if you want to have a fast boarding, or like get the passengers seated as fast as possible, you can just turn on the fasten seatbelts, and they will know to just get seated and ready for departure as quickly as possible. Anyways, after that, Ryanair usually derates. I don't have TopCat, which is a program that allows me to find the actual N1 limits, so I'm just going to click 24K derate and go to the next page. Our takeoff flap is 5, CG trim. Click that twice, you'll get it automatically, which is 23.5, which is trim 5.13. And how you trim the plane is you just spin this wheel and you put it to about 5.13. Usually you won't do that before after pushback. At least that's what I have learned from being in the cockpit in real life. So yeah. Anyways, now that we've done that, we can actually check the winds real quick at EGPH, because the winds are pretty significant. 60 at 9 knots. So you want to go into the next page here and write 60/9 and put it into runway wind. And the runway is dry. It's very nice weather here in Edinburgh, so we don't have to touch anything else. Which will give us some alternate V speeds here. Now we have V1, VR, V2. V1 is this takeoff commit, like you have to commit to the takeoff. VR is safely be able to rotate the plane with a single engine, and V2 is to safely, actually never mind, VR is when you rotate the plane. V2 is when you can safely climb with a single engine. So that is what we're going to be putting in here in the FMCP, right here, under the IAS MAC. Okay, this is the speed indicator in your MCP. and you can also turn on the flight directors. And yeah, then the route is pretty much set up in the plane. There's nothing you have to do in the FMC for now. Some other things we can do is like turning the auto brake to the RTO position. If we zoom in, you can see that it says RTO, which stands for rejected takeoff, which makes the plane brake automatically if we end up rejecting the takeoff. And we can set the heading to runway heading, which is about 61 I believe. And initial climb 6,000 feet for today. Okay. So it's not much more we can do until the passengers have gotten seated. As you can see, the displays are now online, which means that the IRSs are aligned, and there will be no lines or lights here lighting up. So you can also set this thing here 3 notches back, because it's not going to display anything once we are aligned. Okay, so once boarding is completed, I will just come back to you, so enjoy this little time lapse from outside. Alright, so boarding is finally completed. So what we want to do now, obviously, is just at least close the back door. The front door can remain open for a little bit. But the plane needs to get its own energy or its own power. So what we want to do now is to click the left fuel pump. And once you've done that, you want to go here to this APU, this big thick switch, I guess. Set it to start. You just click it, you don't have to hold it or anything, and that will start the APU, which is an engine located at the back of the plane. As you can, if we zoom in here, you can see this small engine. It doesn't actually give any thrust, but it does give power to the aircraft. So here now you will see the temperature rising in this little gauge here. Rise to about 800, and then it will go down and settle at about 400. Which also happens to take some time. And once it stops, this light will light up, which says APU generators. So what I want to do is to click these 2 middle buttons here, which basically gives APU power over the aircraft. So if we now go up here and click, set this to APU generator instead of ground power, you will now see that instead of just saying 000 at everything here, it actually gives you the amps and the volts, which lets you know that the APU is powering up the aircraft, and we can now safely remove the ground power. Now, how we do that is you just go back into the FMC, you click menu, FS actions, ground connections, also make sure parking brake is set, and you can remove ground power. Another thing we can do now is just close the doors, close the air stairs. You can see the stairs at the front. Oh, at the front of the plane is now going in. Anyways, that's beyond the point. Go back into ground connections, and we can now safely remove the wheel chocks, which are the you know what a chock is, basically. It's the thing that is in front of the wheels, keeping the plane from rolling, basically. So once we've done that, we're done here. We can go into a prog page or do whatever. I usually go into menu, FMC, and prog page because it gives you a lot of valuable information. Now, once you've done that, you can turn on all the fuel pumps. And we can go into the overhead panel, get the yaw damper on. And we're pretty much set for push and start. So what you can do now is to request push and departure from GSX. If you don't have GSX, you'll use either PMDG's built-in pushback, or you will just click Shift P on your keyboard. So it just seems like there's a little bit of a bug here. So We want to reload that in. Come on, there we go. Now prepare for push and start. Now we are gonna have a tail left, nose right. Push back. Also turn on the anti-collision. It's the red light that you can see blinking outside of the plane, and it tells the ground crew that the plane is about to move, and the red light will remain on until we've turned off the engines after landing. So this will just remain on for the rest of the flight. So now we're waiting for the ground crew to lock the gear, which you can see they're doing right now. I'll back into the cockpit.
Departure check completed. 5 suspects inserted. Relief parking brake.
Okay, so he tells you to release the parking brakes, so you do. Click this here. This is the parking brake. You can also do that by pressing the braking key on your keyboard or on your joystick. Now, once we're moving, we can start the engines. So Ryanair starts engine number 2 first, and most airlines do. So you go up here to your start selector switch and set it to ground position, which is to the left. And now you will hear the engine spooling up. It might be a bit hard to hear on the video, unless you have a headset on. And you can see here on this display down here that it goes up to about 20 to 23. Then you want to click this button here, or this lever, which is the fuel cutoff switch, which goes into, well, basically it allows fuel to enter the engine so that the engine can run. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And you can see now that the engine is starting up nicely. Also, we're being pushed back as we speak. Incredible. It's like magic. Not really. Okay. I'm not actually sure if we did the right push here. I'm pretty sure we'll be fine, but I think we should have done a... Actually, no, it was the right thing to do, for sure. Anyways, now that this switch goes back to off position, that means that we're pretty much done here with the engine. So you just want to put the parking brake once pushback is complete. And now you want to repeat the same thing with the other engine. Set the left switch to ground, or GRD. And you want to look at this display here, which says N2. If you zoom in, it says N2. You want to wait until N2 gets to about 20 to 25, and once it does that, you just press the other fuel cutoff switch to idle, and it will allow fuel to enter the engine. As you can see, your fuel flow is increasing. And the engine is now running. Pretty incredible, right? Started up the 737. Now, if you've flown a lot of 737 before, and probably already know how to fly this might feel like an unnecessary video, but I felt like the newer part of the community doesn't really get included too much in these tutorials. You just assume that they know everything, so I might have unknowingly actually done the same thing, but hopefully you will, even if you're new, you will have like an idea of what the different things are, and if you followed step by step and like memorized what button I've been pressing and etc, etc, you should be able to do the same. So anyways, that was pretty much it for this first part of the 737NGX tutorial. The next part will be taxi to runway, as well as takeoff all the way up to climb and cruise. And then I will have the final part, which is going to cover descend, approach, and landing, as well as shut off. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit like, and I'll see you in the next episode.